All right, to start the discussion session, can I kindly request everyone to say sadhu, please?
Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.
Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.
Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Panche bhikkhave dhamme samannagato bhikkhu attahitaya cha patipanno hoti parahitaya cha. Katamehi panchehi ida bhikkhave bhikkhu attana cha sila sampanno hoti parancha sila sampadaya samadapeti. Attana cha samadhi sampanno hoti parancha samadhi sampadaya samadapeti. Attana cha panya sampanno hoti Parancha Spanya Sampadaya Samadhipeti Attanacha Vimutti Sampanno Hoti Parancha Vimutti Sampadaya Samadhipeti Attanacha Vimutti Jnana Darsana Sampanno Hoti Parancha Vimutti Jnana Darsana Sampadaya Samadhipeti. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Dear friends, we have been discussing this discourse for quite some time now. And today is the last day of the 9th month in the calendar, and we are meeting for another practice session, mindfulness practice session, and after which we usually engage in a discussion. And for that discussion only, we have taken this discourse. So you should be able to remember the 5 things that the Blessed One is mentioning here. And what he says is that there are 5 qualities a bhikkhu is practicing for the benefit of the self as well as for the benefit of others. So he says these 5 qualities are virtue, concentration, and wisdom, and the liberation, and the knowledge and vision of liberation. So he says one should first achieve these things himself and then help others to achieve them. And in today's context, it's a very important advice because a lot of people talk about them but no work, rarely practice. So therefore, it's a very practical teaching by the Buddha. You will have, what he says is, you will have to walk the talk. Therefore, it has become a real challenge for the Buddhist world. Therefore, practice has gone out the window. Instead, the knowledge, the book, the literature has come into the surface. There is an advantage in literature, there is advantage in knowing, but it cannot be compared with at all the practice. What our teacher says is, Bhante Dhammajiva says is, an ounce of practice is worth more than 10 tons of reading and knowing and the knowledge. So that much difference is there in the practice. Especially when you take Buddha's teaching, he has really given the knowledge about the teaching or the path to liberation only after you are liberated. What he says is, in the Four Noble Truths, you will have the suffering and you will know the cause of suffering, and then you will be liberated from suffering, and then you will have the path to liberate from suffering. But today, that path to liberate from suffering has come even before understanding the suffering. So we don't walk the way that the Buddha has said. We are just trying to teach other people without achieving ourselves. So that's the message the Blessed One is giving here. So therefore, for all that, what we will have to simply do is the Buddha's word, in my viewpoint, is to keep the mindfulness to the fore. When you keep the mindfulness to the fore, even if you are not a virtuous person, it paves the way for you to become a virtuous person, because you start seeing yourself and then you start changing yourself. Then you become a virtuous person. Then you know how you became unvirtuous to virtuous. You can teach that to somebody else. Simple as that. That knowledge cannot be taken by reading tons of books. And similarly, concentration. When you keep the mindfulness to the fore, you will see that you are unconcentrated when you are virtuous. Unconcentrated in the sense that your mind is not as tame as it should be, although you have some restraint in your physical and verbal deed. Mind is playing hell. So, in mindfulness, what you simply do is you accept that fact. So, once you accept that fact, you simply avoid fighting with yourself. That is the concentration. There is nothing that you will buy from the supermarket as concentration. Accepting that you are not concentrated, accept that your mind is playing havoc with you, and that simple acceptance will concentrate you, will avoid fighting you with yourself. And then by understanding that, that becomes the wisdom. That becomes the wisdom in the sense that person now knows the path. He knows how to restrain physical deeds. He knows how to restrain verbal deeds. Now he knows how to restrain mental deeds. Um, uh, Therefore, he has no now any suspicion about what is to be done. There's of course a lot to be done. That the path he knows, although it few more miles to go, he definitely knows that this is the path. So that wisdom, that clearance of which path to be taken, comes with only once again keeping the mindfulness to the fore. And so continuation on that path will naturally liberate you from the shackles, from the chains that we have. So there are many ways that you will be liberated when you keep on practicing, that we have discussed in the previous sessions. What sort of avenues for liberation are available, and then once you get used to or when you keep on using these avenues, and when you perpetuate in the path, you start seeing your change, and then that will liberate you from the mind, as well as that will liberate you from the ignorance as well. So therefore, there will have two types of liberation: the liberations, liberations of the mind, and liberations of the by the wisdom, liberations from the ignorance. So those things we have discussed in detail in the previous sessions. So when you walk in this path, the Blessed One says this is an experientiable path. It is not something once you practice in this life, not that you have got to wait until you die for you to experience. What the Blessed One says is you can experience this in this very life itself. So therefore, if you experience this in this very life itself, what are the experiences? The Blessed One says, you will not know the experiences when you are liberated. After liberating, and after you talk to your teacher, after you listen to a talk, after you discuss your experiences with the teacher, then you may understand that these experiences have given some indications of certain signs in the path of liberation. So therefore, although we are discussing here knowledge and vision of liberation, when these things are coming up, there are no signboards to say that you are achieving this, that you are achieving this, that you are achieving this. The other day, there was a question from the audience. How do we know what we have achieved? We don't know what we have achieved. Only thing that the practitioner will know is that he will see that there is a change. It is not the same person that was there 6 months ago. And it is not the same person that was there a year ago. It is not the same person that was there a few years ago. And like that, you start seeing a change in yourself. And then you may attribute those changes. Now I'm getting mature. And as a result, these things may be happening. And you will have many different attributions to the change that is taking place. But in fact, those changes that are taking place in your physical behavior, verbal behavior, and mental behavior, and the feeling of lack of friction is how you know that you are progressing. But in the practice, there will have other experiences that you have had, which you don't know that those are junctures of the path. So that is what we are discussing today. And there are, as we have discussed earlier, there are 9 such visions, 9 such knowledges that we get. And they are the knowledge of rise and fall, knowledge of dissolution, knowledge of appearance as terror, knowledge of danger, knowledge of dispassion, knowledge of desire for deliverance, knowledge of reflection, knowledge of equanimity of formations, and knowledge of conformity knowledge. So of these things, we have discussed the knowledge of rise and fall, or appearance and disappearance. And that happens when you, if I give a quick refresh on what we have discussed, when you get closer to the object, may it be the form, your physical process, or the feelings, or the perceptions, deeper you dwell in it, dig into it, closer you get to it, you will start seeing its non-solidity, or its unstable state. So seeing such unstable state is the rise and fall knowledge. And when you, especially when you get close to the body, and when you when you keep on observing your breath, and it will come to a point that you don't see a lump of breath as such, you may see breath particles. And when your attention completely goes to the body, you may not see a solidified body as such. Instead, you may feel that this is something like a beehive, or something like a flock of termites, or a group of ants. So that is because this keeps vibrating. This keeps changing all the time. So you see that change. Not when you see that, it will not come and say this is how you see appearance and disappearance. And the mind will recognize that as in the most simplest form. And that is the real experience. Instead of bringing your technical terms in to understand what is happening, you'll have to understand it from your actual experience. So you most of the time use some similes to explain it, because you don't know what's happening. So therefore, such situations, when they explain, the teachers are aware that these people that they are going through, their practice is getting closer to the body, or to the feelings, or to the perception. So such experiences are called knowledge of rise and fall. And then continuation of such observations In the last session, we discussed that you will go to the knowledge of dissolution. The knowledge of dissolution happens no matter what the object you are observing. You will have now a very steadfast attention, and things are happening in your physical and mental process so fast. You have become so close to the present moment. You have come so close to the entity called self, entity called I. You have come very close to the point that we call here. So your attention is 100% in you. So when the attention is 100% in you, you very clearly see the object, and you very clearly see the mind or the mindfulness that sees the object. So this continuous observation of the object and the mind that sees the object, you will see both these are very volatile. Even the object is changing in the manner I just described, and even the mind is, sometimes you may feel, is changing faster than the object that you are observing, because it does not stay still as well. So this perfect observation brings about a situation that you don't create a lot of mental volitions. So your creation of mental volition reduces. As a result, new consciousness will not arise. So when new consciousness is not arising, you start seeing more disappearance, more fall than the rise, than the appearance. So when you see more disappearance and more fall, then you just continue to observe, because your mindfulness is now going so sharp, so straight, and you now don't have a control over what is happening. So this is called the investigation knowledge. This is called Dhamma Vijay. So things are happening, you just let them happen. So at that stage, it will come to a point, since you continue to see the continue to see the disappearance, it will come to a point that the arising nature, or the appearance nature, gets further reduced, and the rate of appearance becomes very less, and the rate of disappearance becomes very high. So it will come to a point, the things, appearance will come to zero. Appearance will not happen in a very tangible, visible manner. But you start seeing the disappearance is happening very fast. So as a result, it comes to a point that everything collapses, everything bursts off, everything explodes. Right. So when that is happening, what happens is you see the mind, the object disappears, as well as the mind that is observing it also disappears. So this is called Ubhaya Vipassana. In other words, Chittam Vipassambati. It is called Ubhaya Vipassana. And what happens there is both the object as well as the mind observing it disappears. So when this happens, if you just experience it, if you just observe it, then it becomes a knowledge. If you just observe and tell the teacher something like this happened, then it is a knowledge, then it is a vision. But some people get scared about it, and they start questioning what is happening. Am I going mad? Am I going crazy? Is it a new disease that I'm developing? And then, although they have the vision, they don't have the knowledge. And some people may even completely stop the practice because they don't like observing such situations. And the other thing is, when these things are happening, if you go and see a doctor, that person will give you tablets to stop this happening, because they don't know that this is a result of the mind coming to the body. So most of the time, when you have some unexpected situation happens, suppose you are not practicing. When you are not practicing, uh, uh, if you are not a person who is practicing, but some unexpected thing, terrible thing happens, so you completely get yourself cut off from the rest of the world. Attention 100% comes to the body. Even in such situations, this appearance and disappearance and the dissolutions may come to surface. And when those things come to surface, and if you go and see a doctor, they will say that there is something wrong with you. But in fact, what happens is, it's an instance where the mind has come to the body. So the entire world does not know what happens when the mind comes to the body. So therefore, they have degrees to tell us that this is a mental disease. They have degrees to tell us something wrong with us. Only Buddha said, no matter what, if the mind comes to the body, this is what will happen. So I have met practitioners, not practitioners, people reaching this state without practicing meditation, without doing any formal meditation. Some people, when they have been chanting, they have had these experiences. And of course, it's a door, it's a faculty of liberation. And some people have had them while doing their yoga. When they do yoga, these things will happen. So if they don't know what's happening, and if you go to see doctors, then it goes the other way around. But here we are having a formal practice. In your formal practice, this happens because attention comes to the body. Buddha has said that these things will happen. He says, don't go to a doctor, go to a noble friend. If your noble friend is a person who is practicing to keep the mindfulness to the fore, he will be able to help. But most of the noble friends, unfortunately, today, they don't keep the mindfulness to the fore. They keep the donation box to the fore. So therefore, it's very rare that you will get the right advice sometimes. However, these are things that we have discussed in detail in the previous sessions. Today, we are going to the next one, which is knowledge of appearance as terror. We call it in Pali, Vaitupasthana Jnane. So, Vaitupasthana Jnane does not mean, or the knowledge of appearance as terror does not mean you become terrified yourself, or it's not an experience of terrifying. It is not experience of fear. It is an experience of seeing the real nature. It is an experience arising due to understanding impermanence, suffering, and the non-self. Now your attention, your mind direction is not what you had few years ago. Now, since you have seen this appearance and disappearance and dissolution state, your way of thinking completely changes. Your perception completely changes. So, because of the loss of perception regarding the things, you don't see that things as pleasurable all the time. What we had earlier was everything is pleasurable, everything is lustful, everything we will have to try to make developments and try to create things, and we are able to change everything, and therefore we will have to associate as many things as possible, as many forms as possible, as many feelings as possible. We'll have to create as many perceptions as possible. So Wi-Fi is coming into the picture, hotspots are coming into the picture, internet is coming into the picture, AI is coming into the picture. All this is because of this, our natural way of thinking. But that natural way of thinking goes out the window when you see these things. You lose the perception regarding the pleasure. You lose the perception regarding the lust. You lose the perception regarding arising. You lose the perception regarding those so-called networking and associations, either things or with people. That is because your attention is on the impermanence. You reflect more, not that you deliberately do it. The process has brought you to that state. So you naturally reflect more on the impermanence of the signs of five aggregates. And as a result, terror appears. Because all what you see is when you bring your attention to the body and you see the signs of appearance and dissolution most of the time. So you see the impermanence. And you see the impermanence of the five aggregates, not just the form, any other aggregate. So seeing that nature of impermanence, reflecting on that nature of impermanence of the signs, it is here in this case, the word signs is important. It is the impermanence of the signs of the five aggregates. You have gone through now the body. You have gone through the feelings. You have gone through the perceptions. You have gone through the so-called mental volitions. You have gone through consciousness. Since you have gone through these things, you are not bound by them. You are not clinging on to them. Since you are not clinging on to them, you are getting a bit even worried, having a sign of a form, having a sign of a feeling, having a sign of the perception and so on and so forth. So you see not the impermanence of the form itself, you see impermanence of the sign of it. So therefore, when we live as a human being, when we live as an animal, we have these five aggregates. So the signs of these five aggregates is impermanence, and seeing that makes you unhappy to hold on to it. So therefore, the terror appears. If you are continuing to the future, you will have to continue impermanence by holding on to impermanence. So therefore, seeing is continuation of that is terrifying for you, right? So not that you hold your head and try to hit your head on the wall because you are terrified. It is a judgment. You tell yourself, what is the purpose of this? And you don't deliberately do it. When you see these impermanent signs of the five aggregates, that naturally comes into the surface. And when it naturally comes into the surface, what happens is you will have to take a decision yourself. So then you will not be fighting with things as you have been fighting in the past, because you are seeing the impermanence. Similarly, you see, since things are impermanent, since the five aggregates are impermanent, then you know, because the terror appears there, you know, you reflect on unsatisfactoriness. If when this is impermanent, and if you are continuing the existence of this impermanent five aggregate, what I am continuing is unsatisfactoriness only. So therefore, you reflect more now on the unsatisfactoriness of the cycle of existence. If something is existing, it exists, only five aggregates exist. Only the form exists, only the feeling exists, only the perception exists, only the mental volitions exist, only the consciousness exists. And you see, if you continue this existence of the impermanent thing, all what you will have is unsatisfactoriness, because it keeps changing all the time. And when it keeps changing all the time, in order to continue it, you will have to keep patching it all the time. And keep patching all the time something which is not patchable is a continuation of foolishness, continuation of suffering, continuation of agony, continuation of misery. I'm not trying to generate negativity, and that is what the mind will realize when you come to this state. And also, when you see that the signs of impermanence and unsatisfactoriness of existence, we call it nimitta and pavatta. Nimittang and pavatta. Nimitta is the signs, and pavattang means the existence. So when you see the sign of the five aggregates and the continuation of the five aggregate, existence of the five aggregates is suffering and is impermanent, then naturally any intelligent, any wise person will not call it self. You will not create ego based on that. You will not create impression of personality based on that. So therefore, you will reflect more now, naturally, on the not self, egolessness, impersonality of both the signs and the circle of existence. So therefore, what this understanding is to continue the five aggregates. You become a bit skeptical about continuation of the five aggregates. That's lack of desire to continue the five aggregates is the terror that we call here. So when we hear the word terror, we become naturally terrified that something terrible is going to happen. No, it's a change in the mindset. And when that mindset changes, you are not scared. You are not unhappy. You are 100% happy, because now you have found the reality of the life. So when you see the reality of the life, you don't cry, you don't sob, right? You will have 100% perfect happiness in your mental process, because this is what we have been every day going against. Now you have seen the thing, and when you see the things, I mean, not 100%, but you have come very close. Now you have an opportunity for you to take a decision yourself. Now there is no need for the Buddha to tell that these are impermanent. No need for the Buddha to tell that these are creating unsatisfactory. There is no need of Buddha to come and tell you that these are non-self. You have seen them, experienced them yourself right here, right now. So then you make a judgment. It's a sequential judgment. It comes because of your continuing practice. So you therefore are not scared of giving up the sensual life and practicing for 1 hour or 2 hours or on a daily basis at home is a preparation for it, and not that you completely come out of the sensuality. Although you maintain your sensuality, and you will know the limits of it. you know that we need some food to survive. We need a shelter over our head. We need some clothes to cover our private parts and protect our skin. And we need some medicine when we are helpless, when we are sick. So you will do things only for the utility value. You will not do it excessively. So that is because you have seen the signs of the impermanent signs of the aggregates, and you have seen the suffering nature of the continuation of such aggregates, which cannot be any longer called self. So therefore, you are ready to use the sensuality only to keep this body healthy and the mind healthy. And you are not going to, stack up resources, stack up houses, stack up stocks and Bitcoin, that coin and all that. You are not going behind sensuality. And also, not only that, this situation, you have experienced the nature of becoming associated with form. Because since you have gone through the form, you have seen the breath, gross breath, you have seen the disappearance of the breath, you have seen your body, and you have been able to keep observing the body until such time you don't feel it any longer. Right? So which means while living, we have a state in our mind, we have a skill in our mind, we have a potential in our mind to live without feeling the body when we practice. So therefore, even when we come out of the practice, we will be able to live in a way we are not giving too much emphasis on the body. Otherwise, when we live, 100% is emphasis on the body. You decorate, you shave, you do all sorts of things. That does not mean that you will have to live unhealthy. You know that this body is also a fake thing because you have practiced yourself and you know that there is an ability for us to go beyond the form and still we are able to experience situations beyond the form. So therefore, when it comes to this knowledge and vision of appearance as terror, you are no longer terrified about the sensual world because you have the ability to live it only to its requirements, only to its utility value. And you have the ability not to get caught up in the form situations, becoming associated with form. We call it rupa bhava. And at the same time, to a greater extent, you have experienced the nature of becoming associated with formlessness as well. So when you keep on observing and when you don't feel the body, some people may say that they go to a situation that they don't know anything. Or some people may say they go to a huge space. They observe only the fact that they are living. They know that they are living, that's all. And some people say, no, I don't feel anything. Some people may say, there is something, I don't know exactly what it is. So these are not only, they have gone to completely formless. Seeing space means there is no form in it. Knowing means there is no form in it, just some knowledge, some knowing. And not knowing anything means it's very obvious. You completely don't have even the mental process. You don't feel even the knowing. And then it comes to a situation that things are happening so fast and you cannot exactly say whether something is there or not. So we call them in Pali Akasanyayatana, Vinyananchayatana, Akinchanyayatana, Neva Sanyana Sanyayatana. And you may have had some experiences of going beyond them as well, because you are not getting hooked up onto any five aggregate. So in all these states, you have five aggregates. In sensual world, the five aggregates are so gross, so rough, so coarse. You can touch them, you can see them. But when it comes to the Rupa Bhava, or the becoming associated with form, it is not that gross, it is not that uh, tangible, but you have some signs of it. You completely become obsessed with the existence of the form, not the sensuality. In the sensuality, you have all sorts of forms. Forms associated with the eye, forms associated with the ear, so on and so forth. But here, it's just your physical process you are associating. It's not the sensuality, but it is your own physical process. And in Arupa Bhava, or in becoming associated with formlessness, also having five aggregates. Although you don't have very visible, tangible, measurable form, there is some element of form. But in such states, mental process is very, very, very prominent. Mental process, which is the energy layer, is very prominent. So therefore, we call it arupa bhava, formlessness states. So when you come to this knowledge and vision of terror, you don't associate in any of these things, in any of these states, because you are terrified of the sign of the five aggregate, because you see the impermanence of it. You are terrified of the existence of five aggregate, since it is impermanent. You know, if you try to hold on to it, you are trying to hold something which cannot be held. And therefore, if you try to do this, you become a fool, and then you become engrossed in the suffering. So therefore, since you have gone through this nimitta and pavatta, there is no point or no state in which you will be anchoring. So not 100%, but you have seen some signs, you have seen some experiences of those things. So therefore, this knowledge of dissolution is gradually paving the path to get this judgment, to bring this judgment to the surface. So this is how you, unless you do this, unless you keep the mindfulness to the fore, and then go through this dissolution state, and then once that happens, still you keep the mindfulness to the fore, and you know that something like this happened, and just accept that. And since you accept that, that becomes a knowledge. When it becomes a knowledge, your way of thinking changes, and you gradually reduce the dependence of the five aggregates. So it is not a direct physical experience as such, it is a change in the way you think. So unless you have this change in the way you think, what happens is you make yourself of that experience. When you have the experience of dissolution, and it's for some people it is so peaceful. And when you see the knowledge of rise and fall, it is a state of very peaceful state. Especially when you see the state of rise and fall of the perceptions, rise and fall of the consciousness, it is so peaceful. When you see these peaceful states for long time, and if you hold on to it for long time, then what happens is you start calling it myself. You start calling it permanent. And there are 62 such states in total. Those who practice very well get hooked up in those experiences. So therefore, not to get hooked up in those experiences, the advice Buddha gave was, keep the mindfulness to the fore. When you keep the mindfulness to the fore, these experiences will come, and you just observe those experiences as well, and that will open up your mind to what is happening. Then you take the right judgment. Then what happened was a complete loss of the five aggregates. And then you will not be a concentrated person. So what happened before Buddha was, they got bogged down in the concentration, and they were holding on to these experiences. And Buddha says, holding on to those experiences is the way that you will continue your becoming. It may be becoming in the sensual world, it may be becoming in the form world, it may be becoming in the formless world. So in order to come out of that becoming, he says, keep the mindfulness to the fore. Once you have the experiences, continuous perpetuation of the mindfulness will change the way you think, because you simply keep observing only. And the sign of the becoming will not happen. You will be terrified of creating a sign of becoming. Before Buddha, people were not terrified because for the sign of becoming. Therefore, because the Buddha's word was not there. The Buddha's word was to keep the mindfulness to the fore. If that was there, then they become terrified of continuation of the five aggregates. So therefore, since they were not terrified about the sign of the becoming, they took the sign of becoming straight away as soon as they saw the experience. Yes, it is me. I have been in this state for so many years. So therefore, I will have to conclude that this is going to continue in the future, because I have been in that for so many years. See, my beard has gone from nothing to the floor, and the roots have gone over my legs. I have been observing this for such a long time. It has been there now all that time. So if it has been for such a long time, I'm 100% sure that it will continue even into the future. They are not just imagining. That is their experience. The experience is holding on to that. Buddha says, don't hold on to it. You just become an open observer. Then you see these experiences. Once you see those experiences, when it comes to the judgment point, you will not make the wrong judgment that it is permanent and that it is self. You will make the right judgment that these are changing and therefore these are not self. So it's a the knowledge of terror is an experience and is a change in the way you think rather than a real physical experience. So likewise, the Buddha is giving us a perfect way how you will come out of the existence. And the books are giving the book is giving a very nice simile, and that simile is, I think, derived from the story of the Ahalepola princess. So what it says is, if there is a woman with three children, three sons, and two of them have done something terrible, and they have been condemned to death, and then this woman is taking the three sons to the for the punishment, and she sees the first son was beheaded, and she now is about to see the second one is getting beheaded as well. So once those two happen, the writer is asking whether she will have any hope about the last son. She will, if she's wise, she will give up the hope about the last son as well. So this is exactly what is happening. When we keep practicing, we see all our past mental volitions have vanished, have evaporated. And the present one, before our eyes, we see it is changing. We see it is dissolving. So if we are wise, we don't have any hope about the future. So that did not happen before Buddha, but with these knowledges, those are the changes that happens in our mind. So therefore, I want to emphasize the knowledge of terror is not a terrifying physical experience. It is a change in the mindset when you do things. And you do things keeping the mindfulness to the fore. So, therefore, no, you are not doing it unhappily. You do naturally when it naturally happens, when it organically happens. You become 100% 100% happy because now you have seen the thing that has been giving suffering throughout our existence. So therefore, seeing the thief and putting the thief into the court, putting the thief into the prison is a way that you can live happily now. There is no one to rob you. So that happiness comes into you. So therefore, this is not something that you get after your death. It is not something that you will be able to. These type of things cannot be bought from the market. These are things that comes only from the practice. So if you are not practicing, these are not relevant to you. So this is why I'm telling these things to the practitioners. So since you are practicing, I think to some extent you will be able to relate things. So since Buddha is able to tell these things only, we call him Araham. We call him Samma Sambuddha. He has realized himself and he is telling us. And this is why we call him Purisa Dhamma Sarathi, right? So he has that ability to tame beings who are not easily to be tamed. So we are so lucky to have some such teaching. So may you all be also be able to reap the best benefit of this wonderful teaching. Blessings of the Triple Gem.
Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.
Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.
Good. So if we have any questions, things to talk, we can take some time. There is nothing to talk, we can transfer merits. Where is that?
Bhante,
Yes.
shall I quickly ask something related to practice?
Yeah.
Yes. Bhante, the practice actually, the formal practice, walking and sitting, so it's going as normal, so which is satisfactory. But as an example, during the walking, I have like the usual observations of the walking, of the sensations of the foot movements and everything. So I have the mindfulness, but with mindfulness is not like very clean and like crystal clear as it used to be. It's like so, so if I look back at my like walking meditation after the session, I, throughout the session I had the mindfulness. I had like the movement. I observed the movements of the leg, and I observed the thoughts are coming and going. The throughout it's there, but the observation is not like crystal clear. So it's like clouded a bit. Like it's like if you know what I mean. I think it's the difference of the pajanati and the consciousness says, "Ah, you are walking," something like that. So that issue is for me it's an issue actually because yeah. So that's the question, Bante. Awesome.
No, good. No, it's not a question. It's not an issue for you. The mind is trying to tell that it is an issue for you. But actually, when you see these things, this is how the mindfulness progresses. And initially, when you bring your attention to the body, everything perfect. You can see each and every minute detail. And you continue to observe that. When you continue to observe that, what happens is you gradually go through all the perceptions available. So when you go through all the perceptions available and you are not clinging on to any perception, having a lot of informations about the manners, signs, shapes, and the processes is when you have perception. And when you have perceptions, you have the opportunity to hook onto them, to hold onto them, or just keep observing. So when the person who is keeping the mindfulness to the fore, he will not hold on to them. He will not try to see always when you walk, that the heel is kept first and then the arch area and then the pillow area and then the fingers. And I must hold on to this and see detail of each and every time. You don't do that when you keep the mindfulness to the fore. You say, okay, I have seen that and I keep walking. And in that way, what happens is you don't hold on to the perception that you see. So therefore, you gradually move away from the perception. When you gradually move away from the perception, you don't identify yourself with the perceptions that you have. So as a result, walking is now happening without you getting involved. So then you are not dead. Therefore, there is something which is clouded. It is not very clear. That is because you are not holding on to perceptions on one hand, and at the same time, you are not trying to create yourself with the lack of perception as well. But the mind is trying to say something is wrong, my friend. You get it cleared and make it myself. No, this is how it happens. So let it be cloudy. There is no need for the walking to have a person to walk. Body has its knowledge. And body keeps the necessary security system to continue it. So, the mind is now trying to make mindfulness yours. So, because you are not holding on to walking, then mind is trying to see if you are mindful, you should be mindful all the time. Even mindfulness is not under your control. So let things happen in this clouded and unclear manner. That's how it is going. It is progressing. So there is nothing to worry. Keep it up.
Much merits for your advice, Bhante.
Sarvam Saranai. Sarvam Saranai. Anything else? Anybody else? All right. So we will go for transferring merits. We have been practicing and then having a listen to a talk and then discussed something about the practice and who transferred the merits last time.
It was me, Bhante.
Right, okay. So can I go to Thanuka this time? Will you be able to transfer merits for the
Yes.
beings in the universe, Thanuka?
Yes, Swaminath. May all devas share this merit which we have thus accumulated for the acquisition of all kinds of happiness and prosperity. May all other beings share this merit which we have thus accumulated for the acquisition of all kinds of happiness and prosperity. May all the beings inhabiting space and earth, devas and nagas of mighty power, having shared this merit, long protect the dispensation. May all beings inhabiting space and earth, devas and nagas of mighty power, having shared this merit, long protect the teaching. May all beings inhabiting space and earth, devas and nagas of mighty power, having shared this merit, alone protect me and others. If by deed, speech, or thought, heedlessly I have done any wrong, forgive, O Master, O Victor, greatly wise. If by deed, speech, or thought, heedlessly have done any wrong, forgive, O Master, O Victor great. Oh wait. If by deed, speech, or thought heedlessly have done any wrong, forgive, O Dhamma, to be seen here and now, timeless. If by deed, speech, or thought heedlessly have done any wrong, forgive, O Sangha, practice well, the incomparable. Let this merit accrue to our departed relatives, and may they be happy. Let this merit accrue to our departed relatives, and may they be happy. Let this merit accrue to our departed relatives, and may they be happy. By the grace of this merit that I have acquired, may I never follow the foolish, but only the wise up to the time I attain Nibbana. By the grace of this merit that I have acquired, may I never follow the foolish, but only the wise up to the time I attain Nibbana. By the grace of this merit that I have acquired, may I never follow the foolish, but only the wise up to the time I attain Nibbana. Sadhu.
Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Thank you all very much for joining. We'll see you next Tuesday. Blessings.